individuals that have filled out letters of interest to sit on our board. I got to sign it. So, I wasn't here the last time we did this, so I guess we'll go by how they're just all labeled in our little blue folder here. We'll ask you guys a bunch of questions. We'll call you up and ask you some questions. We'll go from there. I would like everybody to know ahead of time, though, that this is kind of an interesting situation. So the way this works is, being that Ms. Alsing had left before the completion of her 2 years, this appointed position would only be between now and December. Whoever was selected or anybody else interested would have to put their name on the ballot, and they can do so by contacting their local party to have that done. That needs to be done by September 18th. If not, then it's just a write-in campaign. So for that, anybody have any questions about that? Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to share, when we reached out to find out the particulars about it, when a person vacates their board seat more than 60 days before the general election, but within the first 2 years of their seat, that seat then can only be filled until to the reorganization of December of the 2-year term. It would go on the ballot as a 2-year seat then, because school boards are filled 5-4, 5-4. So in order to maintain the integrity of those those numbers, the 2 seats, and this includes Mr. Hadlock, who was appointed earlier this year for a position that was vacated in the spring. His term is only good until December of 2023, and he knows that. And that for the final 2 years, he would have to work with the election team to be on the, as you had said, to be on the ballot. So I want to make sure that that's clear. I don't know that we pushed that out in our advertisement.
No, because we just found out this information from PSBA and the Bradford County Election Office.
Correct.
Yep.
So I don't know if that changes anybody's mind either. I wanted to, make sure they had that information. So thank you for sharing it.
All right, so that will get started. The first person on the list is Melinda Carey.
Darn that last name.
I don't know, sometimes it's better to go first.
Push the button on the back of it, on the very end. Yep. And just give it a second. It doesn't feel like a button really, but.
Hello.
There it is.
All right, Ms. Carey, good evening.
Good evening.
So I guess my first question, why are you interested in serving on the
Oh, did I
city
just
board?
turn off? Did I just turn it off?
There it is.
No, I just gotta be closer to it.
Am I on now?
There we go.
Yes. Why am I interested? So this is my second attempt. I have grandchildren that are in the school district. One that will graduate this year and 2 that are coming up. It'll be 9 years before they're done. So I didn't get to do this with my children because I was too busy being a mom. So now that I'm a grandma and just, one full-time job, I really want to give back to the community and be able to help. That's my whole thing. I love to give back to the community that gave to me when I was younger and I was struggling and I wasn't able to do these things. Now it's my turn to be able to give back and help and support these kids. And I don't know, I just love kids and I want to help form the society and form and help the school board be able to support these children within these communities, whether it's educational, whether it's providing the school board with ideas and helping the taxpayers understand the decisions that the school board is making to help these children get a better education or better opportunities through maybe a merger. Or do we have a football team? Do we have books in our library? Are we going to study this material? Those are the kind of things that I think are going to help our children in the long run. And then they then become better citizens, and then it just keeps on snowballing.
Thank
And
you.
I spend a lot of my time in the summer helping kids. We put on a play every summer, and I direct 60 children in a musical from ages 8 to 16, 8 to 18. So it's like herding cats. So I kind of understand what y'all do. I wanted to always be a teacher, but my life never led me that direction. So,
What do you think the strengths are of our school district?
oh, the strengths. Amazing teachers. Just in the years that we've been in this school district with my grandchildren, there's never been anything but wonderful teachers and instructors in the situations that they've been in. It has been nothing but a blessing with these kids. And I have pretty unique grandkids, and they all have, situations that they go through, and it's just been nothing but a blessing. So that's definitely, in our school district, that's what we have, are wonderful teachers and instructors. We also have a community that comes together. They believe in each other. They hold each other up. If something happens, we're there for each other. Big example of that was that stupid storm that came through 2 weeks ago, and everybody was there for each other. Doesn't matter who you are or what you were doing that day, you were there for each other. And those are the strengths of this community. We are there. And even as we talk merger, Athens, Sayre, we are who we are. It won't matter once it washes out. We're still a community. So that's,
What do you feel are our challenges facing our school district?
well, we are who we are. That's also can be a challenge. We're stubborn, we're still Athens Wildcats and Sayre Redskins. So there are roots there still, because there's still resentments about the whole East Smithfield thing, so SRU thing. So, there are roots to some things that still linger, and those can be some of our downfalls, but words matter, attitudes matter, and it's the way things that, you handle things that help mitigate those things and get you through the murky. So those could be our downfalls, words and people.
If you were faced with a tough issue as a board member, such as raising taxes or cutting programs, what kind of data would you need to help you make that decision?
Oh, all of it, as much as you can. I close multi-million-dollar loans for a large bank, so data's my thing. I do numbers. I look at a lot of things, research. I love research. I love rabbit holes. Those are my things. Go in. You've got to look at it. You have to know it inside and out and backwards and forwards. So you have to dive into the things that nobody else wants to look at. And open your mind and see everything. And get into the nitty-gritty. And that way you can provide an informed decision. And then if someone comes at you and they have, there's this grievance they want, and they want an answer right this second, you can be informed. Because you're like, look, I looked into this. This is what I saw. These are the numbers. This is what the data said. And you can go back to them.
All right, well, with that thought, kind of leads into my next question. So Sayre is a small, tight-knit community. How would you respond to a member of the community that stops you in public to make a complaint about a situation within the school district?
First, you listen. The first thing you have to do to anybody that comes to you and wants to say something is you have to listen. You have to give them your ear. You can't blow them off. That's not what we can do as board members. You don't blow anybody off. Second, you invite them to a board meeting to say what they have to say so they can get it off their chest and they feel welcome. You can't blow anybody off. But you have to lend an ear. Everybody has to feel welcome. Doesn't mean that they're right. It doesn't mean that we have to cave to whatever the mad crowd says. It just means that we have to listen. Everybody has an opinion, and they have to feel validated in providing that opinion to somebody so that there aren't pitchforks and fire outside the school.
All right, and my last question.
Mm.
Why are you the candidate we should select tonight?
Well, I'm a little quirky. I love a challenge. I'm not afraid of numbers. I'm not afraid of opinions. I'm not afraid of people. I've been around this planet a little bit. I can be opinionated. I have my own thoughts. I've seen a lot. I've done a lot. I've put up with a lot. And I want to give back. And I want to see what positive influence I can provide and what help I can provide the school board and the community. And in turn, show children, my grandchildren, other children, look, if I can do this, you can do this. You know, I'm sitting on a school board, look at me. You can eventually do this in your life too. Anybody can do this. Anybody can give back. You know, heck, I'm going down and I'm gonna be in the booth at the Music Boosters booth at the football game on the 1st. Me. Like, anybody can do this stuff.
Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. Thank you for having me and putting up with this.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so the next one, and I'm gonna murder his last name, I'm sure, Christopher
DeRocher.
DeRocher?
Yes.
All right. I'm not even gonna try it. How are you tonight,
Chris is fine, I'm well, how are you?
All right, so, same questions. First one, why are you interested in serving on the Sarah School Board?
My biggest passion is community development, and the best way to support community development is public education. So as I go through my career and help businesses and help community members and help the SARE community itself thrive, education is one of the biggest pieces of that. And with my background with community development as well as working with the state of Pennsylvania, I feel that that is a good skill set to bring to a school board situation.
What do you see are the strengths of our school district?
Mainly as our community. When you look around, you do see a tight-knit community that has a lot of caring people within the community that care about everything. And sometimes we disagree. And even when we disagree, eventually we come back to the middle and we actually have the opportunity to see people for who they are and understand where they're coming from. And we need that right now. It needs to be a healing part of the community. We have some issues facing this district and facing quite a few districts here within the state itself, that we have declining population, we have declining enrollments, and we have unfunded mandates that are coming down from the state. And all we can do is find a way to do the best for our kids as possible. And I think Sarah historically has done an excellent job of navigating those waters, and I do feel that is the strength because they come from the community and ultimately people care.
Kind of led into this next question, but what do you see are the challenges of our school district?
Same thing. We have a very passionate community. We have a very nostalgic community. We have a community that holds on to our traditions, and that's a great thing on many aspects. But I do feel that if we can all stand together and decide what's best for everybody involved, I think we'll all come to the ultimate consensus that we will do what's best for our students and the population as a whole.
So if you were faced with a tough issue as a board member, such as raising taxes or cutting programs, what kind of data would you need to help you make that decision?
Two things. Obviously, I'm an accountant by trade, so the financial data is very important to me. But we also need to know the human capital involved as well. So whenever we're making a decision, we need to understand the dollars and cents of it, but we also need to know the impact to the people that this is ultimately going to affect. All of the people, the taxpayers, the students, the teachers, everybody here in this community matters. And we need to make those decisions, what's best for everybody. It ultimately comes down to dollars and cents, and 9 times out of 10, the dollars and cents will lead us to the right decision. However, sometimes we do need to have the human capital in consideration for that.
Thank you very much. So Sarah's a small, tight-knit community. How would you respond to a member of the community that stops you in public to make a complaint about a situation within the school district?
I do this often in the community development side, regardless of what I'm doing here. A lot of people support it, and a lot of people don't necessarily see where we're coming from. And it was said earlier, I think just listening, understanding where they're coming from, and then coming back with respect and say, this is the reason why we made this decision. These are the facts that we made our decision based on, and understand that you might not share that same opinion, but I respect your opinion. However, these are the decisions these are the facts that we had, and this is why we made the decision that we made.
And our last question, why are you the candidate we should select?
Within my career, I've always worked with public funding, and whether it was banking, right now I interface a lot with DCED, which is a department of the state of Pennsylvania, and trying to find the limited resources to do the maximum amount of good is a challenge for everybody. And being able to do that in my career, I feel that I can do that here within the Sayre School District as well as a member of the school board.
Should have paid more attention in Miss Anthony's, shorthand class.
Super right, yeah.
All right.
Thank you guys for the opportunity. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Our next candidate, Ron Myers. How are you doing tonight, Ron?
Good, how are you guys?
Good. All right, so our first question, why are you interested in serving on the Sayre School Board?
So my full-time job, I work with Human Services, just kind of coordinating services for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So kind of that part of making that impact of people's lives has kind of been a way that I've tried to give back to the community. Now after coaching Little League for 2 years, meeting a lot of the different kids' families, my son's about to go into kindergarten, my daughter's 3, well on our way, so I see this as my way to kind of step into their lives as well and help out as much as I can by serving on the board.
So what do you see as our strengths in the school district?
I do think that, and again, we're very early as far as stepping into the school district with my own kids, but even just the welcome we've had from a lot of the teachers to make sure the kids are excited to come to school has been huge, just because it's their first kind of experience with formal education. It can be daunting, it can be scary, and between the kinder camp this summer and just kind of those little events that really show that like a small town can reach out to the kids and make them feel welcome when they are coming into the district is huge. And I really think that just grasping onto that small school, small town mentality of having that personal connection with the kids is huge, and it goes a long ways to make sure that they want to be in school and they love being in school.
What do you see are the challenges that face our school district?
And again, it's similar to what you've already heard, but I do think also with that small school mentality comes that pride, and I think at some point it's separating past pride with the future of the students and doing what's right for the future, not necessarily what impacts the past, and weighing all of that to make sure that whatever opportunities and advantages we can give the kids going forward is something that we look forward to and not always look back to.
So if you were faced with a tough issue as a board member, such as raising taxes or cutting programs, what kind of data would you need to help you make that decision?
the qualitative impact, working with, in human services, that's what I come down to. Obviously, there's a lot of the financial side of it, but whatever that impact is to, in this case, the students for my other work, the individuals that we work with, whatever that outcome is going to be for them is crucial. I mean, even if it's something that's going to save money, if it's gonna be detrimental to whatever those students might have already for an advantage or be able to have opportunities going down the road, it really is that chance to pump the brakes and think, is this worth it? And kind of what are we doing here if we're not looking out for the future of those students?
So Sarah's a small, tight-knit community. How would you respond to a member of the community that stops you in public to make a complaint about a situation within the school district?
Again, as our other candidates, of course, listening in the moment, if we are someplace where we could go somewhere privately, even bring up to that person of, okay, let's go somewhere private so that I can give you my full direct attention, but at the same time also pulling you into a confidential area that might be away from open conversation, but then giving them my information like an email to make sure that there's accountability on my end, that that's been addressed with me from them, and they have that track record, that I addressed this with this board member and he did not bring it up at the board meeting. Invite them to come to the next board meeting, let them know that that's something that I would put forward to the board, and it can be discussed with them there, but brought up by the board at the same time.
All right, and the last question, why are you the candidate we should select tonight?
I think the buy-in I have of having children come into the district as far as making those good decisions, and all my experience working with people that kind of need that help to have those supports and services and someone looking out for them, I think being able to kind of make some of those decisions and help be part of those conversations, maybe bring in some different areas of thought processing, comprehension that might come from different realms that I've worked in kind of throughout my career working with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. It's one of those areas that a lot of funding has been cut through all over. So it's one of those things that kind of we've seen how my work and kind of what I've done has adapted to that. So kind of bringing those experiences to the school to where similar things have kind of been happening.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, our next candidate, Brian Roof. How are you doing tonight, Brian?
Good, how are you?
Good. All right, so why are you interested in serving on the Sarah School Board?
At 35 years old, kind of a hard thing to really answer. I know that if I were to get this position, it's coming into almost a thankless position. There's a lot of things that many in the public don't see and they may not fully understand. Up until about a year ago, I myself didn't even really know. I have 3 kids that all go to Sarah. My oldest, he's starting 7th grade. My youngest is going into 2nd grade. I've learned a lot about the different programs and things that have been offered as I've started getting more involved and coming more to these meetings. So there's a lot of different things that I've been able to learn, and I've loved it. So I think truly one of my biggest reasons is I want to give back to the community. I always have. I'm currently the vice president of Valley Youth Soccer, treasurer for Valley Youth Soccer that helps over 460 kids throughout the community. I was the only youth wrestling coach for SARE, coaching 65 kids on my own 5 days a week because I didn't have any help. I always want to try and give back, and I always want to try and show my children that's the best place to give back is into that community.
You write too fast, put too much pressure on you. So, Mr. Roof, what do you think our strengths are as a district?
As everyone has said, our strengths are our community and our teachers. When I see at one board meeting, Dr. Delosio comes out and said, I I'm trying to figure out what was going on at the elementary school because there were so many people there for one of our events. She was flabbergasted that that many showed up. Seeing the different things being brought on, the spring flings for the older kids, give them a different outlet, different things to look forward to. I remember that when I was a student government president at my alma mater in Northeast, another small school that's facing a lot of the issues that Sarah is right now. It's the community and the teachers. The teachers I've heard nothing but great things about. I know quite a few teachers here throughout my different endeavors. They're all great, amazing people who always want to do the best for the children, including just support staff. I know every day whenever I try and bring my kid, there's Mr. Satterley giving them a smile and a wave. It's all those things are important.
So what do you think our challenges are?
Currently, right now, I guess the easiest way to put it is some of the people are scared about the future of SARE. They're worried. That's why they are leaving SARE to go for different athletic reasons is one of the big things that I've seen. There are certain staff that I've talked to from SARE that they've considered sending their kids somewhere else because they are scared for their own children's future. As a parent, it's a tough thing to try and weigh those pros and cons of what's best for them. And for me, I've always been that person who's always been dedicated. I'll always fight, do everything that I can to try and make the best of the situation. But right now, it's just that fear of what's to come. It's an unknown, and that scares everyone.
So if you were faced with a tough issue as a board member, such as raising taxes or cutting programs, what kind of data would you need to help you make that decision?
A lot of it's gonna be what was already stated. I need to know as much as possible. I need to be able to see what the effect is gonna be on the children, what the effect is gonna be on the taxpayers, what effect it is gonna be for the community as a whole. Financially, watching the budget from last year, SARE's actually in a very strong position. We're doing very well. It's just more or less, what is it going to come down to for the taxpayers and the people?
So Sarah's a small, tight-knit community. How would you respond to a member of the community that stops you in public to make a complaint about a situation within the school district?
I'd always listen to them from their perspective. I have a lot of different experience in different things, but one of the strongest things that I've always been trying to relate to is trying to see it from their point of view. I coached 3 youth soccer teams that I have for the last 6 years. I coached them full-time while I was also going to college full-time, working full-time. So there's a lot of different things that can come up, and I was trying to listen to them so that way they can understand, that way I can try and see why exactly they're so upset. But I'd always never give out anything confidential, encourage them to come, just like I have started, because I've learned quite a few things. It's important. And just making sure that I follow up with them, ask them if I can't provide them that answer at the time, I would give them my phone number, my email, I'd take down their information, try and get the information to them and make sure that I'm responding back to them.
All right, and lastly, why are you the candidate we should select tonight?
Listening to everyone so far, everyone comes from different backgrounds. We're a diverse community. I have 7 years of Army service. I'm an Iraq and Afghanistan veteran. I've been a squad leader. I led different missions overseas. I coach now, I work in the natural gas industry. I coach 3 soccer teams. I coach youth wrestling. The biggest thing I can say is that I'm a diverse individual. I'll always listen to everyone else. I'll always try and see from their point of view. And I don't quit at anything I do. I will always try to the very last breath, try to get things done and get things accomplished.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. For our last candidate, Mr. Shaw. How are you doing tonight, Mike?
Good evening.
All right, so first question, why are you interested in serving on the Sarah School Board?
I want to be like my older brother. He's got gray hair, much more than I do. I want to be just like him. Actually, the truth is, I want to just expand on the things that I've already done in the Sarah School District. I'm not here to brag, pat myself on the back, but there's a litany of things that I've done. Most recent would be a few years ago when we put dugouts in for the softball team. They never had dugouts. The late Ralph Porter, Bill Cotton, the Sarah Redskin Club, and some other folks. And that didn't cost the Sarah School District $1. I guess probably a little of the maintenance staff over there to help us a little bit. The all-purpose track, Mr. Skirpon was a part of that committee years ago, and we got an all-purpose track. We didn't have a concession stand down here. Through treatment court and the community service people, we built that entire concession stand. I could go on and on about the things that I've been a part of as a part of Sarah School District, but I think I bring a lot of other things to the table to be in the trenches with you guys fighting to do some of the things that need to be done to keep the Sarah School District what it is today. And I coached 3 years of basketball here for nothing. I was the head coach. 2 years we went to the district finals. We won the Christmas tournament 2 years in a row. Kids, community, all the things that I'm about and I've been about for a long, long time. So that's really why I want to be a school board member, to continue to give back to this community the way I have in the past.
So what do you see as our strengths as a school district?
Strength of the school district is pretty much what everyone else has said. But being small, a lot of times things don't fall through the cracks. I think our other strength is our alumni. I'm an alumni of Sarah, the Sarah District. They just recently had a 50th class reunion, and many great comments about the appearance of the school district, the improvements that have made in the school district. There was some, obviously, concerns about enrollment here. And I understand that. And some of the things are out of the control of the board and out of the control of the administration here. But I think the strength is the teachers and the community, of course. Everybody talks about the teachers, but it's also the parents who are giving back, the people who help us do the little things that make us the school district that we are.
So touch base on a couple of them, but what do you feel are our challenges as a school district?
I'm sorry?
What do you feel is our challenges as a school district?
There's probably 4 challenges, major challenges that I see for our school district, more specifically than just Pennsylvania. State mandates, charter schools, safety of our students, obviously taxes. They're the main focuses. You know, we have lack of teachers right now. Everybody's struggling to get teachers. Everybody's struggling to get substitute teachers. Every company is struggling to get workers. So one of the things, if I was in the trenches with you guys, I would be trying to find a way to improve the reputation of our district so we could get those employees. Sarah really is above a lot of these other school districts. For some, unfortunately, we do get some negative comments about the school district because a lot of times people don't really know the real facts behind the situation. And sadly enough, social media, one of the worst things that ever happened to any of us, is a part of that, a major part of that.
you were faced with a tough issue as a board member, such as raising taxes or cutting programs, what kind of data would you need to help you make that decision?
It really encompasses a lot of things. I've been on a couple of bank boards. I was president of the Greater Valley EMS for 2 years out of 12. You know, you've got to cut employees, you've got $1 million budgets. The toughest decisions are the same decisions I made for 24 years as a judge. Those decisions weren't easy. You and I were on the Criminal Justice Board, Mr. Catrini, and you saw my activity as a member of that committee. They were not always easy times, but I think that's what separates us. The people who are not afraid to make the tough decisions. Not that the right decisions sometimes are harder to make than the easy ones, obviously, and we do that in our own life. So when we run our own budget, we have to look at the same things. This is the pros of what we want to do if we invest in it, and these are the cons, and that's what we need to do. But the bottom line is, if we're investing for short term or long term when it comes to our kids, we've had to make some tough decisions here. One of them, I'm a sports guy per se, but one of the toughest decisions that have been going on probably for the last 10 years here is the arts. The music, there's only so much money. It's unfortunately, the music department, some other departments like that are the ones that get cut and they're shortchanged, and I don't really like that. I prefer, it's probably not a popular statement, but I've been known to maybe not make popular statements before, which is I would cut sports before I would a lot of the other things that are going on in our district.
Sarah's a small, tight-knit community. How would you respond to a member of the community that stops you in public to make a complaint about the situation within the school district?
I kind of crossed into that a little bit ago. I would say a majority of the time, their emotions and their lack of information cause the problems that we have. And I would simply, my first question would be, how do you know this and why do you know this? What is it, whatever the problem may be, what are the facts associated with it, and how did you arrive at these facts? Once again, there's people sitting on this board that I've sent emails to over the last 5 years probably, wanting to get the information before I came to a decision. Or people, times I've stopped any of you folks, the superintendent included, talk to them and find out the information before I arrive at a decision, which is easier for me to do than it ever was up until 30 years ago when I have to have Attorney Rossetti telling me one side and Officer Hurley, Chief Hurley giving me the other side of it, then I gotta make a decision. It's certainly not easy, but until you get the facts and you address the people, and I'm not a person who's gonna carry the bucket for someone else. If someone's got a question, I want them to bring it to the proper people, superintendent, principals, whoever it is, take it to them. I'm not gonna do it because then that's another party who may get the information incorrect. Misinformation is the greatest fault. So I would make sure I went through the proper channels, exactly what I said the last time. The proper channels, if we follow them, for the most part, we're gonna do the right thing.
And our last question, why are you the candidate we should appoint tonight?
I think I've expressed all the things that I've done. No disrespect to any other candidate here. We have Mrs. Skirpon, a kindergarten teacher, and we have Mrs. Morell, our elementary teacher, or elementary principal. And they always said when we were young, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Well, I'm here trying again because I really want to be a member of this board. I think the strengths that I possess can only help you folks and help our community to make the right decisions for our kids. We have that big elephant on our shoulder, do we merge with Athens? I think there's a lot of decisions that have to be made long before that's ever even close to something that we need to talk about. I think we can survive on our own.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, sorry, Jim.
We need a motion. For an executive, or just call? Yes, ma'am.
So I did want to share with everyone that's here, when we started the meeting, I know Attorney Rossetti came, so thank you for your time this evening.
5-man quorum for Greater Valley EMS. Had to wait for that motion to adjourn.
Okay.
So at this point, I'd like to recommend that we have an exec session so we can talk about these 5 candidates. So I got a motion, do I have a second?
So motion.
Second.
A motion and a second? Either one. All right, so I have a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll be in a quick exec